Hey everybody, welcome back to Generation X Nation. Y'all already know we about to review Love and Marriage Huntsville. I know y'all done seen a lot of videos, but I'm gonna give you my take, okay? Now, before we get started, as always, thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the channel, who has liked the channel, and who has left a comment. I appreciate it. It never goes unnoticed. Next, my disclaimer, and y'all know what that is. Everything on my channel is alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Alleged, in my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. My commentary is done week to week based on the episode that airs, with the understanding that some scenes are edited. We get it. Now let's get started because this was a hot mess. You got Marcel and Tisha fighting for their marriage. You got Kimmy, queen of the gaslighting, getting caught up in her own crap. You got Martell disrespecting everybody and ain't nobody saying nothing. And Ken and Will finally seeing the bull crap that is the Scots. But let's go. First of all, I'm gonna say this though. I know Miss Wanda out here making a video because the way Marceau disrespected her daughter in front of everybody, I'm sure she pissed off. But we'll see. Now, this episode starts, and I got my little notes. Now I'm gonna try to stick to them. Sometimes I go a little off, but you know that's what happens when you're on video. Now the episode starts off with Martell still arguing with Maurice about this DWI, and Martell says you were effing drunk, and you were effing drinking and driving. And Maurice is going back, and Martell's like, I don't give a rat's ass. You was drunk and driving, drinking and driving. You got a DWI. And then Kimmy goes into the confessional and says, see, that's why I told y'all not to fight Martell. Kimmy, be quiet. Because you have always said on this show, Martell is a good guy. Martell is a nice guy. He's a nice guy until he turns on you and your husband. So stop with the Martell this and Martell that. You didn't want Martell to come on this trip because you was afraid that what is happening right now is what Martell was going to do. We all know who Martell is. And I think you scared that Martell is going to let out more than what he should and tell everybody where that red lipstick came on your husband's face. Now, Marceau tries to calm it down. He said, hey, people know, you just need to let people know when you offended. Martell ain't trying to hear that. He pops back off again. Nell said Martell let him talk. Destiny grabbed the back of his jacket, and Kimmy said something, and Martell said, shut the F up. And I said, what? That man told somebody's wife to shut the F up, and y'all did not say nothing. Not a word. He disrespected one of y'all wives, and we think it was Nell, because that's who came back later on and said it was Nell. But I don't know if it was toward Kimmy, Destiny, or Nell. But either way, he said, shut the F up, and y'all didn't say nothing. Y'all scared of Martell. And I'm gonna say why later on, but y'all scared of Martell. And then Chris goes in the confessional. You know, Martell's gets to hollering. Ain't nothing you can do. You just gotta let him go through it. He'll eventually stop or walk away or go take a nap or something. But he just keeps going until he gets tired. Chris, that man just told your wife to shut the F up right in front of you, sit at that table, and y'all did nothing. I need to know what is this fear of Martell. I like Martell when he comes to the scene because he keeps all of y'all on y'all P's and Q's. He checks all of y'all, and y'all are nervous and scared around Martell because Martell know where them bones are buried, and y'all know not to set him off. And when he gets set off, y'all don't know what to do next. Because I think Kimmy was like, "Oh God, please don't let him do me like he did Tisha," and start talking about the back seat of the Buick. I think that was what Kimmy was afraid of. Eventually, Marceau tells Maurice, stop talking. Just stop talking. You know, and Maurice, in my opinion, you're supposed to be the mentor, but your younger brother, Marceau, is trying to tell you how to calm the situation down when you call yourself mentoring them. So Maurice eventually stops talking. And once he stops talking, then Marceau comes in and says, well, we can admit, guys, it was a success on the boat today, and today was a success, and let's just table this. And Maurice couldn't get up there fast enough. Okay, let's just table this. Maurice and Kimmy was shaking in their boots. I believe they think if this would have continued on, Martell was going to let another cat out the bag, and they were scared. Just my opinion. Now, later on, Chris and Martell sits down and have a conversation. And that's when Chris revealed Nell is mad at you for what you said to her. So I'm assuming the shut the F up was for Nell. Chris, again, you should have corrected Martell, friend or not, right in front of you. Because even your wife went in that confessional and said she wished you would have defended her. That was a hint. You should have said something when Martell cussed at your wife, allegedly. Now Martell was like, man, I don't know what was going on. I mean, Destiny was grabbing me and I'm fussing that thing behind because they just constantly lying. And Chris said, which one? Insinuating both the Scott boys lie. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for confirming what we already know. We know they was lying, but we'll leave it alone. Martell going to say Kimmy was out of control and she did not have to confront me. If she wanted to say anything, she could have talked to her husband. Her husband come and talk to me. You are 100% right. See, Kimmy threw that first fire into the gas. She threw that first match into the gas because she loved the gas light. She didn't know Martell was going to go off like that. And then she tried to reel it back in and start getting out of control because remember, Kimmy, you set him off when you mentioned the comment that he said about your husband's DUI. You should have left Martell alone. So I ain't even mad at Martell for checking you and going off the way he did. I'm not even mad at him because you know what you get. Because you even said, oh, I don't want to bring Martell. But then you go and gaslight Martell. And then you got nervous because once again, I think you believe Martell was about to spill the beans on something. We'll talk about that later on. All right, then they show Tisha and Marceau talking. Uh, and Tisha was like, well, Kimmy was a little upset about Martell's response to the accident. And even Marceau was like, that ain't even what it was. He wasn't laughing about the accident. He was laughing about the situation, the incident. He wasn't laughing about the incident. He was laughing about the story, about, hitting the tree, the pole, and the animal and all of that. And he said, hey, at the end of the day, if Maurice gets to popping off, if you disrespect him, he's gonna disrespect you. It is what it is. And I appreciate that, Marceau. But again, I think they was all nervous of what Martell was gonna say. Then they showed Destiny and Will having a conversation. Destiny basically told Will, he said, no, I'm sorry. Will started off the conversation saying that he felt like Kimmy kind of overreact. And then Destiny said, you see what they are? They deflect. They the king and queen of deflectors, and they love to gaslight. Um, and Destiny said that they good at presenting an alternative reality, and their versions of things is always different than everybody else's. And she also insinuated that when you get them along, the Scott brothers act differently. I think Will pretty much agreed with her on that. Will started talking to Destiny about, I guess, their somewhat friendship relationship. They basically friend zoned each other. He feel that Destiny is a little combative, and Destiny said, "No, I'm just very direct." And he told her she acts different when she's under the influence of alcohol. Um, he feel that Destiny needs to control also her body language because Destiny has these facial expressions when you say something to her, where she rolls her eyes and do all that. I think most women do that. Destiny is aware of that, and she said, I'm aware of that. So I think Destiny and Will definitely should remain just friends. But I like the fact that Will is clocking the Scots and understanding their dynamics within that group. Destiny's still pissed off at Tisha. That don't matter because that hole in the box thing is just not sitting well with Destiny. Tisha over there still talking about the boss comment. And basically Marceau was telling her, hey, if you either burn that bridge forever or you fix it. Tisha don't know which way to go because once again, I think Tisha don't know how to be a good friend to nobody because Tisha's a friend when it's convenient for her, and then once she no longer needs that friendship, it's gone. She was friends with Stormy when Stormy was trying to show her how to get a shampoo line. She was friends with Melody when Melody was showing her how to get out of the house and start her own businesses, and she did her podcast, and then she no longer needed Melody. So now she no longer needs Destiny because Destiny was her ally when she was mad at Melody. So Tisha doesn't know how to just be a loyal friend, thick and thin, through whatever. That's just my assessment of Tisha, allegedly. Marceau and Maurice are sitting down, and Marceau is telling Maurice, you are jacking up the Scott brand. I don't know what brand that is, but I guess it's the brand down there in Huntsville where they're known to be businessmen in construction or whatever. He said, Maurice, You cannot let people get you out of character. Once again, Marceau is mentoring Maurice. Maurice, you the older guy. Why is Marceau? But again, I get it. They brothers. He said, well, whoever angers you controls you. You supposed to be a role model for Martel. I don't know where he get that from, but that's what he said. I'm gonna leave it at that. All right. Then they got to talking about the wives, and Marceau was just letting Maurice know that Tisha needs to make a decision. They've been having some issues for several years. Tisha went from we to me. He's basically saying, hey, when I met Tisha, she seen me build something, a house, my first project, and she was like, oh my God, I think we can do this. And now it's about, when is my office going to be done? When are you going to finish with this for me? When are you going to do that for me? So he's like, it went from a we to a me. Now, Maurice is going to give him the worst advice I've ever heard. Well, I asked Kimmy when she said something similar to me. We was having issues. Do you want me to buy you out? And she said, absolutely not. So you're telling your son Marceau to go ask Tisha, do you want me to buy you out? Now, if Tisha responds, absolutely not, then they know the marriage is solidified. They just got to work on their stuff. But if Tisha doesn't respond that way, then Marceau has another problem. That's kind of what he's telling him. I don't know. Marceau said he wanted a life partner and he just feel he's not appreciated. And I think she appreciates you. I think she just take a little bit advantage of you, Marceau, because you go hard in the paint for your family and Tisha. And Tisha is not understanding it. But we'll get to that conversation later on. Then they go to this team building exercise. And this is all Kimmy stuff. Now, Kimmy gonna put the three M's together. The three musketeers, Marceau, Maurice, and Martel, knowing that they build stuff for a living. That's what they do. And then you gonna go over here and put Ken, who I don't know, is he a truck driver and he works out. Will, I don't know what he does. He own that wicked bar with that crazy stuff inside. And Chris, who's a realtor, probably ain't really used his hand because he's a pretty boy to me. He ain't used his hands in years to build nothing. And you're going to put them two together on a contest to build something, but not tell them what it is. Will was the first one to figure it out. It was a picnic table. The three M&Ms, the three musketeers over there couldn't figure it out at the beginning, but then they later figured it out. Now, of course, they're going to put the table better than anybody else because that's what they do for a living. I just, and then Kimmy comes back and she's all happy that her team won and, celebrating, jumping on the table. Of course, they're supposed to win. If those three people could not build that table, Martel, Maurice, and Marceau, and they call themselves builders, I would have been shocked if they lost. Okay? I wouldn't buy a house they built if they lost. Kimmy, that was just, and again, anyway, Kimmy, is male identified. That's just who Kimmy is. Now, let's get back to Ken and Will. Will ask Ken, hey, are you, now that everything is settled, are you going to stick around? What's the long-term goal? Ken not sure he's going to stick around. I think Ken is fed up with Trish. If you notice, they're very, very quiet on this particular episode. Ken said he got a lot of rest. He tried to get some sleep. He thought it was going to be a smooth sailing here, but apparently it wasn't. But they were able to get some rest because that night before at that table, I guess it just threw all them for a loop. He asked Will about Destiny. Will said, hey, we're just friends. I can't give Destiny what she's looking for. Will basically said, I am not marriage material. He go on to call Destiny combative and they called her a feminist. And they said she's a girl's girl. She says she's a girl's until she's around some girls. And Will said, I ain't ready to be nobody's husband. We know that. He also said, I don't like when she's drinking. And he didn't like the way she was pulling Martell and she was falling asleep at the table and stuff. And I didn't see any scenes where Destiny looked that drunk. And again, they could have edited. But you guys are on vacation, supposed to be having fun. So if she got a little tipsy, who cares? Will, you're out in the woods. She ain't driving, unlike Maurice. Let that girl have her fun for the night. She was pulling Martell because that's her friend and she was trying to shut him up. Now, that she may not have done it the right way, but I didn't see anything wrong with that. And as far as you saying that she acts different when she's drunk, who doesn't act different when they drunk? Let that girl enjoy herself. You are just not ready to be anybody's husband. And Destiny is looking for a serious relationship. So just move out the way and let Destiny find that relationship, Will, and leave her alone. Because we know you ain't ready to be anybody's husband because I want to say you said you had 4 kids and 4 baby mamas. If you ain't married any of them yet, then we know you ain't ready to be nobody's husband. And I don't think Destiny need a baby mama number 5. So let's just let it go. Again, he said I don't know why they called her a feminist or whatever, but I don't think it's Destiny is a girls until she get around girls. I think Destiny is like, hey, I love being around these women, but if they come at me the wrong way, I will be Detroit Destiny and pop off. Destiny just had a rough life. You've seen what her life was like. So she got a little bit of toughness behind her, and she needs to lean into her feminine side just a little more. But I don't think Destiny is that bad of a person. And I know people don't like Destiny, but at the end of the day, you ain't for her anyway. Destiny, you did a good thing, friend zoning Will. We'll talk about you later on too. Now, at the dinner, Kimmy is giving her speech. Thank you all for coming together. I appreciate everybody coming out here. And she was just saying, um, she appreciated everybody coming out, opening up and all that. So Ken starts to speak and he says, I just want to, say I haven't been around this group that long and I expect this to be a good space and a safe space. But I know me and Trisha's not married yet, and I expect to get good advice from y'all. And everything y'all been saying has not been positive. You know, you guys were telling me and Trish that we should, telling me on the boat since the whole spin the block comment came up that I should leave and this and that. And in Ken's mind, he's thinking, hey, if they was in the same predicament, they wouldn't leave their wives, even though on the boat they said they would. And so he said, how was that good? If you guys are saying negative stuff to us about our relationship. Then Tisha has to speak up. Well, I apologize for the DM comment I made to Trish, but it was just girl talk. I was just telling her what I heard. And Ken said, look, I ain't never told you stuff I've heard about Marceau. I wouldn't even bring that up. Everybody started laughing. You could see the smirk on their face. Marceau was the only one looking serious because he started to get nervous. So Tisha started pressing Ken. Tell me what you heard. Tell me what you heard. And Ken said, I'm not going to say it, but I've heard stuff. Well, what did you hear? Tell me what you heard. And Ken was like, okay, I've heard stuff about the black situation, some back room, some kind of Diddy stuff going on. And then Tisha said, well, people come to people with lies and they say stuff, but that don't mean that it's always true. And this could cause issues in our marriage. And then Marceau bucked in it. He said, issues like you're begging him to tell you stuff now, that's going to cause issues. And then he was like, this is what I'm talking about, Tisha. Why are you begging him to say something about me? He starts going off. And then Kimmy whispers to Maurice, would you tell Marceau to be quiet? Y'all scared again. Y'all scared again. Whenever Kimmy steps in and tells somebody to be quiet, she gets nervous because she know Maurice is finna say something. Kim may start adding on to what he's saying, and she don't want that truth to come out. Okay? And then she is begging everyone at the table to tell me something. This is what Marceau was saying. You're begging everybody to tell me something about my husband. Now, this man is telling you, hey, at the end of the day, why you keep creating this stuff? She not listening. Kimmy said, well, everybody has heard something about everybody at this table. And whether it's true or not, it's up to you whether you believe it or not. If you need to know anything about me, I am being 100% transparent. Ask me. Ooh, that was a signal for Martell to step in. I love Martell on this episode. Martell said, okay, but what's your deal breaker? Then they go Kimmy. I mean, it used to be fidelity, but I don't even know now. I mean, whatever happens, I'm going to try to work on my marriage and make it work. I don't think there really is a deal breaker for me. Oh, now it's not a deal breaker, Kimmy? Because before you and Tisha, which they showed a flashback of Tisha saying y'all deal breakers was infidelity. But see, now that this is getting close to people discovering there could possibly be some infidelity, and now y'all a little nervous. Marceau chimes in. He says, "I don't think there's not a deal breaker for me. Whether marriage is about commitment. The love and stuff. None of that matters. You have to be committed and all in." I get where Marcel was going. Marcel was going. He just basically said there's going to be some good days and bad days, but we have to stick it out. Will chimed in and said, "What?" He said, "I see a lot of sad faces at this table." And then that's when Tisha comes in. "Well, I know you may see that, but we all have our struggles. But at the end of the day, we have our good days and our bad days, and our good days outweigh the bad days. And that's what matters." And then everybody walks away. They take their little picture, their little group picture. And that's when Tisha and Marceau go off for their private conversation. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But here are some key points I want to say. First of all, Destiny was right about everything she said about Letitia, the deflecting, and Kim, the gaslighting. And I know y'all don't like Destiny, but Destiny was 100% right. And your slip is showing. In this episode, everything Destiny said previously has came to light. All right. Destiny, I'm just going to say this. Leave them Huntsville ninjas alone. Call Stormy up. See if anybody over there in Birmingham. You and Stormy friends now. Find somebody down there in Birmingham. But stay out of Huntsville and people connected to this show. Leave Lance alone. Leave Twan alone. And throw Will ass in the trash. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. We over Will at this point. He could be on the show as a friend of Kim, but just leave the Will thing alone. It's not worth it. Will looks weird as hell to me. He's a handsome guy, but Will gives me weirdo. Will gives me, I want 4, 5 girls at one time. I don't know. Will gives me Diddy. I don't know. I will say this: Ken and Will have found found out who the Scots really are. They done peeped the Scots BS because they start calling them on it. When they said, "Y'all look sad to me. Why y'all giving me bad advice? Why y'all saying negative stuff about my relationship?" They called them Scots on it because the Scots is in everybody's relationship, but don't want nobody in theirs. Another thing I picked up on, again, Destiny, let him friends on you. Maurice added to his story. Maurice initially said that, he had the DWI. He said he hit a tree, an animal, and a pole. That's in the previous seasons. Okay. Now it comes down, I hit a tree, an animal, a pole, and I had a concussion. So Maurice and Kimmy, we are to believe that you hit a tree, an animal, a pole, had a concussion, and went to jail. So you had a concussion and went to jail all in the same night. So, and nobody called Kimmy. So you hit a tree, a pole, and an animal, had a concussion, went to jail, and nobody bothered to call Kimmy. That's what you want me to believe? Hold on a second. I got to get this call. Okay. So that's what you want us to believe? He in the hospital with a concussion. Kimmy's an ex-nurse, but nobody called you. And in between that, you did some time in jail too. That's the story, Maurice? Okay. You still never explained the red lipstick. So my thing is, while they were talking about the DWI and Kimmy was nervous because Martell was going off as usual, Martell was Martelling. She did not want Martell to slip up and tell us where that red lipstick came from. Because if anybody really knew where Maurice was at that night, it probably was Martell. And she did not want that to slip up. That's why she didn't want Martell on that trip, because she remembered how Martell went in on Tisha, the backseat of that Buick, and his friends as he watched. He remembered that. And she don't want her to be the next target for Martell. So Kimmy, my advice to you, leave Martell alone. Tisha gives me a lot of emotional immaturity, and I will talk about that when I talk about her scene with Marceau. Kimmy, in my opinion, is a little snake and very sneaky because she set this whole scene up but didn't know it was going to backfire when Martell went off. The minute she said, "Well, let's talk about the comment that Martell made about the DUI," you didn't think Martell was going to go off on you. And then when he did, y'all tried to bring it back down because y'all know once Martell gets out of control, all kind of stuff come out of his mouth. And one thing I'm going to say about Martell don't lie. The only person Martell lied to was Melody. Other than that, everything out of his mouth is the damn truth about them Scott boys. He ain't lying. Martell said, "If y'all done jacked in my marriage, I'm gonna make sure I tell everything on y'all marriage too." Now, I don't know if he want to jack it up, but he gonna make sure the truth come out. The only reason the Scott brothers is getting away and haven't been caught is because Martell produced a baby outside of his marriage, and them two Scott brothers have vasectomies. So whether they doing something or not, you'll never know because they haven't produced any children, and that's why those women ain't leaving. I'm just saying, Kimmy ain't never leaving Maurice. And Tisha ain't never leaving Marceau. You can bet that. But I do feel Marceau has acted a little different towards Letitia since that Buick comment. Because I'm gonna be honest, this man sat in front of you and said your wife is getting banged out in the back of a Buick by her friends, even posted on his Instagram page by his friends, even posted on his Instagram page and said he watched, and y'all sitting there breaking bread to him. This man told somebody's wife at the table to shut the F up, and y'all didn't correct him right there on the spot. Y'all let Martell do what the hell he want to do to y'all, and y'all don't say nothing because Martell know where them damn bones are buried. Period. Point blank. And as I said before, the only person Martell ever lied to was Melody. Everything he's saying about y'all is damn sure the truth. And Chris don't say anything because Chris said, hey, my infidelity is out there, but it was over 30 years ago, so he don't care. Tisha never said it wasn't true. The whole thing with Martell that she was mad at him about, and now she even having conversations with him, she never once said it wasn't true. She said, yeah, I was in college. That was before Marceau. So what that got to do with it? You in the backseat getting banged out while people watch, and it was okay because you was in college? I'm just saying, listen to what they say. That's all I'm saying. Now, we're going to talk about Tisha and Marceau's conversation. And it hurt me to my heart to see them in this way, but I'm not shocked that it happened. All right, let's talk about Marceau and Tisha. And I'm just going to make this quick because I'm sure everybody has their opinion on it. When Marceau took off with Tisha and they sat down and he asked that first question, what um how much would it take to buy you out? Tisha did not respond like Kimmy did to Maurice. She talking about, what do you talk about? Separating thing? If we start separating things and moving in different directions, that's just gonna lead to divorce. And he said, where do you see your value? He's telling her you're not as involved. Sometimes he feels alone in the business. And then he flashed back to earlier seasons where they sat down and had this same conversation. And I don't know, it just feels like Tisha just didn't get it. Now, if Tisha would have said, I'm not going anywhere, you can't buy me out, I'm gonna be here with you, then I think Marceau would have took a different direction. Tisha is not understanding where Marceau comes from because Tisha has this lack of emotional maturity. To me, Tisha is stuck between a 40-some-year-old woman, mother, adult, and still childlike behaviors. Because sometimes Tisha acts like a child. When Marceau gets into her behind, just like in this episode, she starts going to me more childish. But then when she's with her girls by herself, then she's the boss bee. She's talking crap to everybody. But when she with Marceau, it's like I don't know if I don't want to say dumb herself down, but it seemed like she folds back up into childhood again, like she's scared to speak up to him. That's weird to me. So I'm wondering what her dynamics are as far as relationships prior to Marceau, because she don't seem like she's able to stand up against a man. And I don't mean fighting a man. I mean being able to talk and express yourself to a man. It's like you allow him to talk and over you and treat you like you're a child. I'll just say that. Now, with that being said, Marceau, and I'm going to sum this up as quick as I can. Marceau has told Tisha that he is sacrificing everything for his family. He will work in the rain, sleet, Father's Day, cold, all day, all night for his family. There is nothing he would not do for them. He loved them. He said, but while I'm talking to you and trying to explain my feelings, you're not hearing a word coming out my mouth, because Tisha keeps changing the conversation in her responses back to her. Well, Marceau, I feel, well, Marceau, I should do. And it's like, well, Marceau, what do you want from me? I didn't do this. And I'm like, Tisha, you're not hearing what Marceau is saying. You're not picking up what he's putting down. In this moment, he just wants you to listen. Now, his delivery may have been a little harsh, and again, it seemed like he was chewing her out, because he was. He said, I do everything. I do this for my family. I need you to support me. Like you don't even bring lunch by. Well, I used to bring lunch by. He said, you and he said, she said, no, you can't buy me out. He said, it has been 2 decades and you do not hear me. He said, I can't get a wife to do who I do everything for, to not hear me. He said, I do everything for you, and you stop still not hearing the words that are coming out of my mouth. He said, why are you giving other people advice on marriages? And I am begging you for help. I am begging you to listen to me. He said, I am 100% on my own in this. I don't feel like I have a teammate, a wife who loves me, a wife who refuses. I have a wife who refuses to listen to me. No communication, what at all? At all. My wife is tearing me down instead of listening to my feelings. That was a lot, Marcel. Tisha, what this man is telling you is pick a lane. You come in he came to the office one day about 2 episodes ago, and here you go with a video camera filming yourself painting the wall. And he's looking at you like, what are you doing? Marceau is saying, pick a lane. You either going to work with me in this business or you're going to be a mother to our children. Either way, I'm good. I love my family. I sacrifice my family, and I'm going to take care of you. But he is frustrated in the way in which you behave in business. So, what I mean is this: one week you want to be a businesswoman, next week you tired and you want to go back to being a mom. And that's what Marceau says. Now, think back to when all of this started with Tisha. Tisha started out where Melanie was trying to get her to start getting into her own business. She did the Mommy and Me podcast. Then Stormy helped her start some shampoo, conditioning line with her children. Then she got a realtor's license and broker license. She worked for a realtor company. Marceau gave her office and he had to take it back because she wasn't in there. And then she sat down with Marceau and said, I don't like being a businesswoman. I want to go back to being mommy. I'm missing time with my children. Marceau said, okay, go back, do what you want to do. I'm going to take care of the family. Now he's building Scott Manor. He's building all these other things in contracts or whatever he got going on out there in the construction world. Now you saying, when is my office getting done? Now how long is the house going to be done? You're asking for all of this when he's trying to get other stuff done to generate income, and it's still not enough for you, even though he's working night and day. Which explains why he went to Greece by himself with him and his son to go see Kendrick Lamar. He don't want you. He just need peace from you. So what he's saying is you're on his back about these small things when he has bigger fish to fry. And she's like, well, you have a crew. Why can't you get this and this done? You're doing this for likes and views, videotaping yourself in your office when you had ample time to get your businesses started, and you keep starting and stopping. And that's frustrating for him because you're not understanding he has supported you every time you tried to do this and it didn't work. He stood by you, but now he's tired. He's trying to go to the next level and you keep going back and forth of what you want to do. So either you go in that office and help him, Tisha, and I mean help him with payroll, help him with inventory, help him with orders, help him find new contracts, help him make sure he get his time cards into his employees, help him stay on track to meet his deadlines. Either you sit in there and get that part going to take that stress off of him, or he's going to have to hire a crew to do it. And you don't seem to think that he should be doing that. Either you do that or you leave him alone and you go back to being a mother and a wife. That's what he's telling you. And you not hearing that because you keep switching. When he said it's not a team, it's we. I think, this is my opinion, allegedly, that Tisha has watched Stormy come and go. Stormy had it all and lost it, but she building her business back up. She is a businesswoman and she tried to help Tisha and it didn't work out. Then you have Melody, who's had her divorce, everything else, but she's still on top of her business. And Tisha's watching that. She's a businesswoman. Kimmy went from being a nurse to actually owning a title company. She's a businesswoman, got her business going. Then you see Destiny, who hit rock bottom working out of a storage unit. Now she's back to real estate and getting her stuff off the ground. Okay. The men got their businesses going. Nell owns a daycare. Hell, Tiffany that used to be on there is a businesswoman. Uh, the lady that was married to Moses, Sonny, she's a businesswoman. Okay, so all Trish is getting ready to start her own gym. She gets up every day and work out because she's a businesswoman. And you are just a mom. And I don't mean like just a mom is not a good thing. I mean in her mindset, well, everybody got a business but me. The problem with Tisha is I don't think Tisha wants to put in the work. She gets the office. Marceau sets her up. She get in the office, but she don't want to put in the work because what she doesn't understand, putting on a nice suit and videotaping yourself for Instagram and saying you got an office and this, that ain't all of that. That's the pretty part of business. It's the grinding and work you got to put in. It's the long hours you got to put in. And I don't think Tisha wants to do that. She'll go so far and then it gets too much, too tiring for her. And then she pulls back. I don't want to do this no more. And I think that's what Marceau is really frustrated with. So pick a team. Either you're going to get in the grind with your husband or you're going to sit at home and continue to raise those children. But she realized they're leaving the house and it's only a few years for the other two girls be out. And then what is she going to do? Because is she going to be in her 40s and she feel like I'm not going to have, a life. I got to start over again. You got to pick one or the other. That's all I'm saying. Also, I feel, and just is just my instinct, Marceau has looked at her a little differently. He loves her to death. But baby, if I'd heard about that backseat in that Buick, okay, as her husband, and I didn't know about it. That's my first time finding about it when he said it on national TV in front of everybody. Yeah, I'd have been a little nervous too. Okay. So I think that's what it is when he's saying he's not appreciated. Tisha, stop taking advantage of that man. I remember you was posting last summer, whatever, rich wife life. What happened to that? You got to pick a lane and stick to it because what Marceau see is you pivoting every 4, 5, 6 months to something different. And he wants you to focus on one thing. And he's not going to keep jumping through hoops because you want to get this done today. And then six months from now, 3 months from now, you're no longer interested in that. Let that man work. That man loves you. Like they said, what's that? Scrappy said, Rashida ain't never leaving Kirk. Tisha ain't never leaving Marceau. Marceau is the best thing that ever happened to her. Where's she going back to? Bessemer? She ain't going nowhere. Marceau got her out those trenches and showed her a new life, and she ain't giving that up. And as far as Kimmy, same thing. Oh, infidelity is my deal breaker. Well, not anymore. It's not because she know it has occurred. She ain't gonna never admit it. She's never gonna admit it. Okay? The only reason Kimmy don't want Martell around because she don't want Martell to do to her and Maurice what he did to Marceau and Tisha. That's all. He don't want the truth to come out. And hey, Ken already gave half the truth. He said, look at here. I heard about the Diddy parties at Black, allegedly. I'm like, ooh, Ken getting in there. Because even they see the Scots are full of crap. But at the end of the day, Melody Cherie Rogers was right about all of y'all. While y'all was focusing on her marriage and her downfall of her marriage because her husband had an outside baby, y'all two husbands couldn't have an outside baby because they had the vasectomies. That's the only reason ain't nobody caught y'all, got them caught up in a cheating scandal. But other than that, we know they cheated. It's pretty obvious at this point. It's pretty obvious. And Kimmy's saying, "Oh, infidelity is not a deal breaker." And your husband sitting on that boat saying, "If you cheat on me, I'm out." I bet you look different when you seen that episode and he said that, and y'all said the opposite. That's all I'm saying. Now, other than that, I think Marceau and Tisha are going to work things out. You know they're not going to leave each other. They're going to go to counseling. It's going to be tough at this reunion. You've seen the previews. It's not going to be an easy reunion. Destiny, lead them men alone in Huntsville. Get down there to Birmingham, Atlanta, and find you a man. I don't know, go to Nashville, Tennessee or something. But get the hell out of Huntsville. Leave those men alone, period. Especially the ones that's on the show. Just leave them alone. Just let it go. Your ex-husband there and 3 other people used to date there. Let them go. Okay? Before you start looking like what Tisha said you supposedly be. And at the end of the day, I'm just saying they scared as hell of Martell. Martell is a freaking loose cannon. He is a loose cannon and they are scared of him. All right. And I don't know what Chris got going on, but I just felt he should have stood up for his wife in that moment and not waited to the last minute to say something. I would have checked Martell right there at that table. Even if I thought he was saying it to my wife, he should have said something. And that's just my opinion. And with that being said, I hope I got everything out that I wanted to. It was a great episode. Like, it was a great episode. A lot going on there. And as I always said, Kimmy is the gaslighter. Even though we don't like the way Tisha and her little immature ways, Kimmy is the one that stirs all those pots. But this time around, that pot came back to bite you in the behind, Kimmy. I bet you won't try it again with Martell. Bet she won't try it again with Martell. Martell, keep your foot on their neck. I know Martell because they helped destroy his marriage. He literally did it himself, but they didn't help by adding fuel to the fire on there. But yeah, Martell said, y'all made me go through some pain, made me sad and hurt and lose my marriage. I'm gonna make sure every time I see y'all, I throw just something out there in the air just to make y'all shake a little bit. And he do it every single time. Now it's time for me to go on here and watch these doggone housewives of Atlanta. I hope to God they leaving Portia alone this episode, because I am over the Portia and the Drew and the Kelly with her smart mouth, and they need to be focusing on their own lives. But that's a whole nother story. And then I may do a hot topic this week because there's a lot going on, and I can draw. Maybe find some things that I like to talk about. I don't like talking about a lot of negative stuff, but I'll see what's going on in the world because it is a lot of negative stuff going on. And with that being said, this is Generation X Nation. As always, you guys go out and have a great rest of your day. Peace. And I'm out.